I did it again. Why didn't I learn my lesson with Scarlet? Alright friends, welcome back. Today I'm going to be reviewing The Warm Hands of Ghosts by Katherine Arden. And if you didn't get the vibe at the beginning of this video, this is going to be fun. Alright friends, per usual, this review will be done in two parts. The first will be spoiler-free, while I talk about a general overview of the book and things that I might not have liked about the book to give you an idea of whether or not you should read the book. And the second half, with a warning, will contain spoilers from a more technical perspective or in-depth look as to why I did or didn't like the book. Alright, we're just going to jump right into the synopsis here. No preamble. The end of the world is here. At least that's what Laura's mom told her when the Great War began. But now her mother's dead, lost to the boat explosion in Halifax, same as her father. All she has left is her brother, who's stationed at the front line. When a mysterious box arrives, Laura is confused. On one hand, she's told her brother is dead, and on the other, a note arrives with her brother's personal effects saying that he'll be found. Convinced that she'll find answers from the people stationed with her brother, Laura returns to a private hospital at the front as a nurse. Her questions are answered, though. The more she searches, the more the truth eludes her, until she's beginning to see ghosts around every corner. Will she be able to find her brother in time, or will she become a ghost herself? Alright, this should come as no surprise. I should have trusted my gut on this book. I saw it and I said, nope, I'm not going to read it. I didn't care that it was from Katherine Arden, but really I did, okay? I did. If you don't remember or haven't read it, Katherine Arden wrote the amazing Bear and the Nightingale series, which I'm trying to look. I thought I put her behind me. Let me see. Yes, right there. I put her behind me. That's how much I've loved her. She is on display in my videos. I've carefully chosen these books behind me to be on display. The books I half care about are over there, okay? So I saw that she was coming out with this new book. I loved The Bear and the Nightingale. It's probably one of my top 5 series ever. And I loved her middle grade series as well. I think I've only read 2 of them, but I did read some of her middle grade series as well. So when I saw that she was coming out with another more fantastical, speculative, historical fiction book, I was like, okay, I can do this. And then I saw it was about World War I, which, as we all know, I don't do the war books anymore. So I said no. But then, as the story goes, it was just sitting on the shelf at my library, and I said, okay. Clearly the library is bad for my health. Clearly, because it tends to keep a very good selection of these new release books. Either that or no one reads in this town that I live in, and that's why they're all available all the time. I've gotten to the point now where I just don't even walk in to return my books anymore. They go in the drop outside, and that is it. There is no more looking. Okay, I'm done. There's no more impulse grabs because I keep making bad decisions. Why didn't I like this book? First off, I appreciate that Arden went for the more fantastical element to her story again. She did an amazing job with Bear and the Nightingale. But the difference between Bear and the Nightingale and The Warm Hands of Ghosts is that Bear and the Nightingale had a folk story to back it up. She was basing it on, I believe, a Russian fairy tale or folklore or myth or whatever, but it was based in something that was already created that she then expanded on and created a book. As far as I know, and I could be very wrong about this book is purely from her imagination with nothing to back her up. So she made all the fantastical elements of herself and she inserted them into World War I setting. And that was a problem. I didn't have the backstory to understand the characters. I didn't have a good enough backstory to understand the fantastical elements to make me see them as anything other than boring. They weren't original. There was nothing exciting. We have the antagonist, so you could say, and I will get into more detail in the technical review, but the things behind what this thing can do just aren't original, and I needed more. Arden has a more literary fiction style of writing. I did struggle a lot with it with Bear and the Nightingale, and it took 2 reads to the book for me to appreciate the rich tapestry of the words that she chooses and how she gets from point A to point B and kind of the flow. But because I already didn't like The Warm Hands of Ghosts, I found myself skimming the book towards the latter half. And that's kind of sad that I could skim and still pretty much keep the general thread of the story. I was skipping chunks of word. I would read the dialogue and then skip the section between that and the next piece of dialogue. And I was able to very easily follow what was happening and still understand the emotional resonance and all of that. And that just, I don't know what that says, if it's about the book or about the style of writing. I mean, to be honest, there are literary fiction books and classics that take like a whole page to just describe a chair, and like you could skip that and still know what was happening in the story. Like, I love Lord of the Rings to death, but he goes on side quests all the time in that writing, and you could probably skip that and still know what's happening. So maybe it's less Arden and more the genre. However, we're never going to know if I actually like this book in that sense, because I'm not giving this book a second read through. She got me once, I'm not falling for it again. I love you, Arden, but this is not for me. At the end, Arden did inform her readers that this was a really, really tough book to write, and I feel that that is seen in the writing, and that's not a good thing. If this was so tough for you to write, maybe we should just put it back a little bit, let it ruminate in the House of Horrors in our brain, and then come back to it. Because I think that how hard she struggled with it, she never entirely grasped the book, grasped the concept, grasped the characters, grasped the setting, and that is really felt, because ultimately in the end, I didn't grasp the story either. I wasn't able to see what Arden was laying out. It was too much in this one setting, and you could tell that she wanted to focus on her fantastical element and what was going on, but instead it was just contrived and watered down and ultimately a bore. What I'm trying to say, and don't want to just say this, is that how is this any different than any other World War book to written out there? Yes, it has a fantasy element to it, which I personally have not seen a lot of fantasy elements to World War One. Yes, I know they're probably out there, but again, I don't read them. But even I, not reading them, can still see that this book is not original enough. And I am surprised that it was actually published in today's current climate of book selling, where you have to find something catchy, something different. I'm not saying that because different isn't getting published either, but I'm saying you have to find something original enough for them to grab your book when there's already probably 5 million titles with that same type of concept. On the flip side, they want to pick the books that are getting published a lot. Take Fourth Wing examples. Now they're going to publish all these romantic dragon books. I bet you it's coming out. So then they stick in the same. But this didn't have, one, the trope that everyone's dying for, or two, the originality to make it something different from every other book on the shelf, okay? So I'm just wondering how this got made, and I almost feel bad for Arden because I think that this is going to have such a bad showing. It's not looking great on Goodreads right now, that this might not help her career, and I worry about that. My only love is the fact that The Bear and the Nightingale was so good, and I think it is still talked about, that maybe she can pitch one more book and use this to ignore that this ever happened and try again. I don't know how her middle grade series went. I know I personally love it. I think it's a great thing if you want spooky, and you can't really do spooky. She does like it's a middle grade level, okay? But I don't know actually how well that ultimately did in the industry, so I don't know. I feel like there isn't much that I can say outside of this book without spoilers of why I didn't like it. Ultimately, this book is based on World War One. We start in Canada with Laura, who has come back from the front after being injured, which then she experienced the death of both her parents, and then, as I said in the synopsis, she essentially gets the effects of her brother, and she wants to go and find what happens to him, and so she returns to the front instead of in a military capacity at a private hospital, where she continues to be a nurse, and then on her days off goes and tries to find what happens to her brother. There are 2 POVs in this book. We have her, and we do have some point of views from her brother as he experiences everything that's happening to him. There is a fantastical element that is okay and such. Overall, it's not my type of book. I did give it 3 stars. If you want to know more really why I didn't like it, keep listening, but from this point on, there will be spoilers. Back to the fantastical twist of all. So we have this character, and I want to say that his name is Flanders. Wow, I was wrong. I got the F and the L right at least. Okay, so we have this character named Flanders, who clearly is the mystical property, fantastical element of the book. Essentially, he's able to take memories and convert them into beautiful music. I think this is something we all see with tortured artists. They take their pain, their anger, the things that are happening to them or to the world, and they convert it into this beautiful, arcing kind of art. But that's something that we've seen a lot of. I mean, we generally know that. We know that artists tend to drink. That is why I try to be different with my co-hosts on the podcast. We create from a really happy place, and we're trying to promote that because most of the time people see tortured artists. Tortured artists is so common in this world. And so it just makes me go, how is this any different or exciting? Because essentially Flanders takes Freddie's memories, again, why the 2 Fs? Okay, we all know you need different letters for names. Okay, Flanders essentially says, I will hide you away instead of being a deserter to Freddy, and in exchange you tell me a story every night. And Freddy soon learns that his memories are, the stories that he tells are getting removed from his memory, and then Flanders is able to make the most beautiful music. Okay, he can do this. But where does his magical properties come from? Is he the devil himself? Is he a magical creature that can do this? Is he a man that was gifted a violin that is able to produce this because he was a musician that maybe couldn't have access and he wanted to make art? We don't know. There's no backstory to Flanders whatsoever. And the only thing I can lean on is the fact of, like, Devil Went Down to Georgia. If anyone's heard that song, the devil has a violin that he plays in that song. And so maybe there are some connections to the devil being able to play the violin. But then again, I'd like to, like, maybe have just a little bit more to know. Is this the devil himself? Even though the literary fiction side of the writing was annoying, Arden did a really good job of keeping things concise, though, in her descriptions, because I hate the whole page to describe a chair. Like, what part does this chair play in the story? And with how much we go from, like, Canada to boat to London, England to France to all of that in the front lines of the war, it was a really, really good arc of description and stuff that she did. And I really appreciate that. That is something that I need to work on. And so reading books like this helps me. Ultimately, though, okay, so the title is The Warm Hands of Ghosts, okay? I expected a ghost element in this book, not a devil-wielding violin player stealing memories. The ghosts just don't exist. There's, like, a one-line mention to that ghosts, the hands of ghosts being warm, but that's about it. We have ghosts pop up here and there. We have a ghost lead Laura at one point in the book, but the story is not about ghosts. And it's almost to the point of, well, how do ghosts even happen? Does Laura have a gift to see them? Are ghosts a normal occurrence in this book? Is this a theme of the front lines? What's going on? Where are the ghosts in this book? Why are we reading about the warm hands of ghosts? Because the warm hands... there's nothing about warm hands of ghosts in here at all. Like, is it because the people are disappearing, and so when they come back, their hands are warm, and they've thought they were ghosts, but they're not anymore? This book has nothing to do with ghosts. Nothing. They're mentioned here and there. They help Laura, but that's about it. Okay, am I just being completely bullheaded here? Is there connections to World War I that I'm just not getting? Do we have some historical factor? There are things talked about. However, if this is something that's known about in existence that isn't widely known, I mean, how many people know in depth about World War I? I feel like the writer does owe something to give a little bit of backstory. She does in Barry Nightingale with the folktales, so I feel like she knows to do this. Where was it in this? Which leads me to believe it's not. It's all her imagination. And then we have so many easy things happen at the end for her to, like, get the wealth, and how do all three ladies die at the same time to be able to leave their fortune to her? Like, for real, though. So, yeah. This just was not the book for me, and because I was already in a World War I time frame, I also decided to watch All Quiet on the Western Front because, well, I'm here in this pit of despair, and I wanted to watch it at some time, and reading both of these just did me in. Well, watching and reading this, both of these things just did me in. I'm done. I don't care if my favorite author in the whole world, Laini Taylor, writes a World War I book. I am not reading it. I am done. This is me. I am done. I'm gonna be strong. I am done. This is not for me. And because of that, I feel like I'm giving a horrible review about an author that I love to death. But I'm just trying to be honest for you guys. I'm not a mean person. I'm not. Plus, I was just excited because this sounded dark and gothic and amazing, and it wasn't. It was just a World War II book. Like, it reminisced me of, like, Slaughterhouse-Five and All Quiet on the Western Front, where thematic elements are used more to describe this situation that the person's in, and has less to do with the actual plot. And we all know I'm a plot person. I hate character-driven books, and what are you gonna do, friends? So, if you found my review helpful, give this video a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe. Also, check out my channel for all sorts of other book reviews. Maybe you have the same taste as I do and I can guide you in the correct direction to go. Also, check out the Dark Side of the Word podcast, where we give writer updates, content recaps, industry topics, as well as a monthly book club. If you're looking for a horror book club, you might just want to join us. We want more people. We want to start a communication in a community. But anyway, friends, happy reading.